Make America Great Again. That phrase has sparked intense political division, causing racial tension, economic instability, and environmental challenges. And now we are more divided today than ever before. But what do people mean when they say, make America great again? Let's take a closer look at the past 10 decades of American history to understand what has truly changed and what has not. In the 1920s, known as the Roaring Twenties, America experienced an economic and cultural boom with the Jazz Age and women's suffrage. However, this period was also marked by prohibition, racial segregation, and the rise of the Ku Klux Klan. We had prosperity for some, prejudice for many. Then came the 1930s, and the 1930s were dominated by the Great Depression. This did bring about New Deal policies and the introduction of Social Security, but despite those advancements, the decade suffered. It suffered from massive unemployment, the Dust Bowl, and continued racial discrimination. So while economic policies tried to bandage the deep wounds of society, inequality was still evident. Then came the 1940s, and we saw World War II and its aftermath. The victory in World War II, the post-war economic boom, and the establishments of the United Nations. However, Japanese internment camps, the beginning of the Cold War, and ongoing racial segregation absolutely marred that era. We had victory abroad, but moral failure here at home. Then there was the 1950s, the 50s. We had economic prosperity and suburban expansion. It flourished. And we also had some early civil rights movements taking place. But we also had in the 50s McCarthyism, racial segregation, and enforced gender roles. The 50s created this illusion of perfection while hiding some very deep societal issues. Then there was the 60s, my era, and this brought significant change with civil rights. We had the moon landing, we had the counterculture movement, but we also had the Vietnam War, assassinations of key leaders, and racial riots, and this revealed some of those deep societal issues. We did make some progress, but also experienced profound pain and loss in the 60s. Then there was the 70s. And the 70s, I remember very well. We had a massive environmental movement. We had women's liberation and the end of the Vietnam War. Nonetheless, we also had the Watergate scandal, economic inflation, and the energy crisis. And this highlighted more of those underlying issues. This was the era of liberation and scandal in equal measure. Then we moved into the 1980s, the Reagan era. We experienced economic growth, the fall of the Berlin Wall, and we started to have really cool technological advancements. However, we also had the war on drugs, income inequality, and the AIDS epidemic. And this really showcased the darker side of this period. And as always, economic policies were favoring the few while many suffered. Then we had the 1990s, and this brought about a technological boom, which created economic prosperity, and we had the end of the Cold War. But we also had events like the Rodney King riots, NAFTA controversies, and rising corporate powers. And this showed that challenges still persisted. Technological advancements, also social unrest, and still massive inequality. Then we came into the 2000s, the future, the new millennium. We saw incredible technological advancements like the internet. We saw Obama's historic election and the rise of social media. We also had the 9/11 attacks, wars in Afghanistan and in Iraq, and the financial crisis created by that left deep scars. We made tremendous progress, but it was scarred by significant setbacks. Then there was 2010, and this decade was one of massive disruption. We had achieved marriage equality. We passed the Affordable Care Act and heightened climate change awareness. But because of political manipulation, racial tension, and economic inequality, it continued to plague our society. Progress was made, but the divides began to grow wider. So when I reflect on this journey, it's clear that we have made significant changes, and many issues like racial inequality, political division, and economic disparity remain in abundance. So really, what exactly was so great that we need to return to it? The idea of making America great again must be redefined, because true greatness comes from addressing those issues, persistent issues, and creating a unified, just, and equitable society. We need to break free from being monetary slaves, manipulated by political factions, and now as we stand on the brink of incredible technological advancements like artificial intelligence, robotics, and unparalleled technological innovation, we are at a crossroads. These technologies have the potential to transform our society, to free us from mundane tasks, and to provide everyone in ways we have never imagined. We live on a planet that provides everything we need for free: water, land, food, yet we are fighting over resources because of outdated political rules and laws, because of fear, ego, and propaganda. This is preventing us from embracing true positive evolution and changes. We are denying one of the greatest opportunities in human history due to misguided political nonsense and entrenched religious dogma. So please, it's time to wake up. If you made it this far, you know we all want better, equal lives. We have the technology and the resources to achieve this, but we must overcome the divisions that have held us back for so long. We must shift away from a society driven by monetary gain and towards one focused on the well-being for all. And only by recognizing and learning from our history can we forge a path to a truly great future for all. So please, let's fight to move forward with the wisdom of the path, but with the vision of a united, inclusive, and sustainable America. The time for change is now. Let's not let fear and ego dictate our future. Embrace these possibilities, and let's truly make America and the world great.